24 minutes past 7. Now, this year marks 3 decades since the film Withnail I put a remote Cumbrian farmhouse on cinema screens all over the world. Part of the black comedy that became a cult classic was filmed near Shat, and some of its fans have been gathering above Wetsleddle Reservoir to enjoy an outdoor showing of the film. One of them, the artist and filmmaker Richard DeDomenici, will be here this weekend shooting his own kind of spoof tribute to Withnail I. He calls it a Redux, and he's been telling me more about it.
I'm going to create, or attempt to create, about 5 minutes of scenes from the film Withnail I in the original location, which is the old cottage. We've got access to it, which I'm very excited about. I never thought I'd be able to visit or get inside the place. But there's an event happening there, Picnic Cinema. They're doing an outdoor screening of Withnail I, which is sold out. They've enabled me to get inside the cottage. So this is an ongoing part of a project that I've been doing for a while now called the Redux Project, in which I try and recreate scenes from movies in the original places where they were filmed, which is often harder than it seems and sometimes easier. I've done over 50 of them around the world, and this one is going to present an exciting set of new challenges, I think.
You have done similar things before. Why, though, is Withnail I about to get the treatment?
Well, it's always been a favourite film of mine, and I wanted to do it a few years ago. I was making a piece of work in Kendal in 2013, and I met someone who said, "Oh, you should do Withnail I, because it's shot up the road and the cottage is still there." And it didn't happen at the time, sadly. And ever since I've been thinking, I wonder if I can ever make that one happen. And a few weeks ago, I was just working on a big Redux in Manchester of 24-hour party people, and I got a phone call from a gentleman called Adrian, and he said, "Hey, why don't you come and do something for the Sea Arts Festival, which is happening in September?" And I said, "Okay, do you know about the Redux project?" And he said, "Yeah, well, what about Withnail I? We might be able to get you into the cottage." Even though there was very little warning, I was able to find a couple of people who wanted to play the lead characters. We've been busy sourcing props. If anyone's got a live chicken they can lend me, do get in touch. If not, I've got a fluffy chicken which we'll use instead. We're not actually going to kill the chicken. So it's been incredibly exciting and spontaneous, and it looks like it's going to be great. Unless the rain is too heavy that we can't access the site.
Is there a danger, though, Richard, that the real fans of the film will think actually you're taking the mickey out of something they adore?
Well, that was what I was very worried about when we did 24-hour Party People in Manchester, because it's still a very alive film. It's still a very current and pertinent thing to the Manchester scene. However, I don't do them as parodies. They're obviously pastiches because we're replicating them, but they're always done with love and care. And I think normally, when people see the amount of trouble I've gone to try and replicate them, which doesn't always succeed, I strive for perfection with my remakes within the limited means of the project, which is normally extremely low budget and shot within a couple of hours. People seem to like it best when things go wrong, though, when I make a terrible mistake or something doesn't match up at all. That seems to be people's favourite moment, but I don't go out of my way to do that. Most people find it quite joyful and joyous, but we'll see what happens with the Redux of Withnail I. Something spontaneous and weird always happens. We've got a shotgun. We haven't got the live chicken yet, but we're looking for a live chicken. I promise not to kill a chicken.
Good luck to him. Artist and filmmaker Richard DeDomenici, who'll be paying his own film tribute to Withnail I. It'll be shown here in Cumbria at the Sea Art Festival in September.